Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. Today's episode of More Than Laissez-Faire is going to be in Chapter 1, and the title of Chapter 1 is Divine Economy Theory. We'll be looking at two sections in that chapter, one called The Market Process, and the other one is called More Than Meets the Eye. So I'm welcoming you here to this audiobook. I'm hoping you're doing well, and this is the third episode, like I said, of this audiobook. I'm hoping that all is well for you wherever you are, and when you come to the Facebook Live page, you can like it. That would be great if you do that. Also, you could write down or enter anything you'd like, comments in the chat box, including like where you're from. So I want to welcome you to this Divine Economy Theory Fireside. This Facebook Live series serves as an audiobook. Every once in a while, I will host a mini webinar to talk in more depth about the diagrams or any general questions that come up during the audiobook episodes. This Facebook Live series also serves as an archival resource. Since I am the author and originator of the Divine Economy Theory, and I'm the one reading the book. And finally, this Facebook Live series is a love story. It is a story about love of the Divine Economy Theory, the love of freedom, the love of peace and prosperity, and the love of voluntary social cooperation. So let's get started. Today's fireside is Chapter 1, and Chapter 1's title is Divine Economy Theory, and we'll be covering two sections, the market process, and more than meets the eye. Once we get started, after each paragraph, I will ask for your comments. Well, let's see who's here. Okay, so this is where I would find people who've come and offer their comments. So at the present time, there's nobody here yet. So, anyways, that's how it works. And if you do come, I'll greet you and talk to you for a minute, and then we'll get back into the book. And so that's what we're about to do now. We're going to take the next step and go to the audio book. And like I said, we were going to start in this section called the market process. Every exchange takes place in a market, which makes clear the point that the word market is most certainly universal and almost infinitely broad. As stated with eloquence by Mises, choosing determines all human decisions. In making his choice, man chooses not only between various material things and services. All human values are offered for option. All ends and all means both material and ideal issues, the sublime and the base, the noble and the ignoble, are ranged in a single row and subjected to a decision which picks out one thing and sets aside another. Nothing that men aim at or want to avoid remains outside of this arrangement into a unique scale of gradation and preference. The modern theory of value widens the scientific horizon and enlarges the field of economic studies. So what do you think? Have you thought about it like that before? Let's see if anybody's here yet. Whoops, can't go there yet. Okay. Okay, so nobody's here. So there aren't any comments. So that's okay. We'll go to the next part, which is highlighting that I've done to pick out terms or points of emphasis that jumped out at me when I read that paragraph. So every exchange is what the market is about, and that makes it almost infinitely broad. Both the material and the ideal issues, the sublime and the base, the noble and the ignoble, are arranged in a single row. And then out of that row, picks out one thing and sets aside another. A scale of gradation and preference. And the modern theory of value widens the scientific horizon. So that's something to think about. You might not have thought of it in those terms before. And so I'll see if there's anybody that has any thoughts about that. So we're going to go then to the next paragraph. It is clear that subjective values are within the realm of economics. When an exchange does occur, it is based on the knowledge at hand by the actors, the buyer and the seller. The knowledge at hand is relative and imperfect, yet at the same time it is fully coordinated within time and space. In other words, it could not be made more perfect, as evidenced by the willingness of both the buyer and the seller to consummate the exchange free of any coercion to do so. Are you content with that? Did anything catch your attention on that? So we'll go to this part here. This is where it's been highlighted. So we'll look at the same paragraph. These are the points that kind of jumped out at me. Subjective values are within the realm of economics. And that knowledge is relative and it's imperfect. But at the same time, it could not be made more perfect. It's just the way it is. Okay. Not sure if anybody's come yet. If anybody has any thoughts, we'll check that out. Okay. No comments. So we'll go to the next paragraph. There are those who object to the imperfect knowledge of the actors, insisting that they would have made a better decision if they had perfect knowledge. This objection is certainly naive and contrary to the real world. Human beings are neither omniscient nor omnipresent. They cannot grasp all that came before, nor do they know the future with certainty. All actors in the economy have only partial knowledge. So, I'm not sure if anybody has come, if that's caught anybody's attention. We'll see if that's the case. So, I don't see anybody here. I think we'll go then to the highlighted part. So those who would say, well, there's imperfect knowledge, objecting to that is naive and contrary to the real world. All actors in the economy only have partial knowledge. I think that that's easily understood. What do you think? Is that something that is along the lines that you think also? Okay. We'll go to the next paragraph then. The single mind that has all knowledge does not find expression in this new concept, does find expression in this new concept of a divine economy. It happens through the instrument, the market, nestled within the divine institution, the economy, bestowed upon mankind. In other words, the unique instrument of human expression that forms as the foundation of economics is the market. So there's no one here to reflect, so we'll move to the next. Okay, so this is the highlighted part. So it happens through the instrument, which is the market, and that's nestled within the divine institution, which is the economy, which has been bestowed upon mankind. And that expression, that unique instrument of human expression is the market. It might be a new kind of way of looking at the market, and that's possibly the case, and that's why we have this time of reflection to think about it. If there's anything that is different from what you thought, you're welcome to, if anyone comes or when they come, to offer their comments. Human planners of the economy are hopeless failures and can be more aptly described as oppressors. In the real economy, the divine economy, there is a central planner who is all-knowing and all-seeing and perfectly just. It is God. No one's here yet to make any reflections and comments. So the highlights that I made on this paragraph is that Human planners of the economy are oppressors. In the real economy, the divine economy, the central planner, who is all-knowing and all-seeing and perfectly just, is God. Let's see if anybody has anything to say about that. There's no one here. There's no reflections or comments. So we'll move to the next paragraph. God is the creator of the economy as a human institution, and his design allows the fullest expression of human diversity. In the divine economy, there is decentralized planning to the nth degree, where N represents each individual or business entity that is actively interacting within the market process. The economy changes as the human race changes and yields its promised fruits conditionally, depending on whether the current state of affairs exists as either a hampered or an unhampered market. So while you're reflecting on that, I'm going to see if anyone's here yet. Okay, so the video's reconnected again. Okay, so we will then go to the highlighted part of that. So the points that I found most illuminating was that what happens under this system, under this reality, the divine economy, is the fullest expression of human diversity. There's decentralized planning to the nth degree, and the economy changes as the human race changes and yields its promised fruits conditionally. So we'll check out to see if anybody has come to the Facebook Live session yet. And no one's come yet. Okay, so we'll go to the next paragraph, which is here. The state of affairs at any point in time reflects the spiritual maturity of mankind and the corresponding condition of the economy. As mankind as a whole matures, he increasingly cares for himself and for others. The economy always fully serves at the level it is capable of as an institution with divine potential, but unfortunately, it has historically been significantly constrained by human intervention. So we'll check and see how things are going here. Oopsie, what am I doing? Nobody's here to reflect and comment, so we'll move to the highlighted paragraph. So what we see is a reflection of the spiritual maturity of mankind, and that corresponds, that's the corresponding condition of the economy. The economy is an institution with divine potential, but historically it's been constrained. There are no comments, so we'll move to the next paragraph. Like all institutions, the economy has the appearance of structure. Its structure in its pure form is the market, free from political intervention. The closer the economy is to a free market, the greater its capacity to be a full expression of a divine economy. I'm curious to see, again, if anyone's here and if they have any comments. So, I don't see any comments. We'll move to the next. Actually, we'll move to the highlighted section here. Its structure in its pure form is the market, free from political intervention. And the greater its capacity is when it's closest to a free market. So that's how that works. And I'll check under reflection, see if anybody has come to Facebook Live yet. Nobody's here. No comments. No reflections. So we'll move then to the next paragraph. Remember that there is an, let me see, maybe go to here. Yeah. Remember that there is interplay between the human actors and the market itself. There is a commingling of these two divine entities, and both benefit from this dynamic process of discovery. Also, there is a transforming power in this divine encounter. Keep clicking the wrong button here. Okay. Yeah, so nobody's here, and we have no extra reflections other than my own on those paragraphs. So we'll go to the next paragraph. Oh my gosh, what are we doing here? Oh, right here. I think. Yeah. See if that's working. Yeah. So, this transforming power is perhaps the most essential element of the divine economy. There is a divine power, the power to transform the resources bestowed upon us into goods and services, and which then enables us to serve one another as a tribute to our loving Creator. So I will go and see if there's anyone that's come yet, and if there's any comments, and there are none. Okay. So we'll go to the highlighted points. The most essential element of the divine economy is its transforming power. And that enables us to serve one another as a tribute to our loving Creator. So what we're about to do now is we're about to look at the second section that we're going to cover today, and that's called More Than Meets the Eye. Still in chapter 1 of More Than Laissez-Faire. We'll go to the More Than Meets the Eye. The divine economy has the power to awaken us to our own potential, which finds expression in service to one another and to our loving Creator. That is why the progress of humanity, even for us as individuals, depends on a free market. Likewise, the discovery of the merits of the divine economy depends on the educative process, which is significantly derived from the market experience itself, from which proceeds the ever-advancing progress of humanity. So there are no comments. We can move on to the highlighted part of that audiobook. So these are the points that I found most illuminating. The divine economy has the power to awaken us. The progress of humanity depends on a free market. And the educative process is significantly derived from the market experience itself. So if anyone's here, there's plenty of information there to ponder and reflect upon. No one's here, so we'll move to the next paragraph. The critical need is to bring all of these processes of the divine economy into the realm of science. Here the groundwork has already been laid by the great minds who have described the methodology of subjectivism and who have expounded upon praxeology, which is the study and logic of human action. This great scientific heritage pays tribute to monumental thinkers such as Thomas Aquinas, Karl Menger, Eugene von Barbaric, Ludwig von Mises, Friedrich von Hayek, and Murray Rothbard. From their work and the work that continues along these lines, there is a scientific foundation that provides the tools needed to test and to advance the understanding of the processes at work. So we'll see if anyone is here, if there's any comments. So no one's here. We can move on to the highlighted section of that paragraph of this audiobook. So it turns out there's a critical need, and that's to bring all these processes into the realm of science. And what helps with that is the methodology of subjectivism, which is a great scientific heritage. And there were monumental thinkers that contributed to that. And the work continues along these lines. And that foundation provides the tools that are necessary to test and advance understanding of the processes at work. So I think what we'll do is we'll go to here. And I'm really getting thirsty, so I'm going to take a drink and then we'll get back to it. Notice Mises.org, Economics of Freedom. So I think what we're going to do now is go back to the audiobook, and one of the things I can do for that, so take the next stop in the audiobook and we'll go to back to there. So when we get Okay. Since human beings act purposefully, the power to make the divine economy manifest rests with each individual. It rests, it resides, and becomes evident in these individual actions. Mises writes, as long as a man lives, he cannot help obeying the cardinal impulse, the élan vital. It is man's innate nature that he seeks to preserve and to strengthen his life, that he is discontented and aims at removing uneasiness, that he is in search of what may be called happiness. So I think that applies to you, and it applies to me, and we'll see if anybody is here to make any comments. Let's see. Nope. Okay, so we'll just move on to the highlighted highlights on that paragraph. The power to make the divine economy manifest rests with each individual. Man's innate nature is that he is discontented and he is in search of what may be called happiness. I think that when you reflect on that, you'll find that that's true for yourself and for everyone that you know. And we'll see if there's any comments on that. And there are none, so I will move to the next paragraph. The power to make the divine economy manifest comes from the invisible world of thought and reason, and enters the visible world through purposeful action. Since no action occurs in a vacuum, each action becomes a part of the educative matrix of all actions, all of which follow the same subjective processes. So reflect on that for a minute if you would. And we'll see if anybody has any comments or if anybody's come. And we see that nobody has. So we will go to the highlights of that on that paragraph. The power to make the divine economy manifest comes from the invisible world of thought and reason. It's invisible. And it enters the visible world through purposeful action. And that this is all part of the educative matrix of all actions. They're all interconnected. You can reflect on that for a minute, if you would. And now we'll go back to the audiobook. What is incredible is how the subjectivist methodology of classical liberalism allows the merging of science and religion. This subjectivist methodology can be used to discern the essential laws that apply universally to human beings when they are at the threshold of action, whether that act is an act of faith or a material act. These universal laws ultimately underlie our quest to know and to understand. So you can reflect on that. See if anybody has any reflections. And there are none, so we'll go to the next paragraph. Whoopsie. What are we doing here? Whoopsie. We'll go to the next paragraph. Not working? Yeah. The subjectivist methodology of classical liberalism allows the merging of science and religion. The essential laws that apply universally to human beings when they are at the threshold of action. And these laws underlie our quest. Those were the points that jumped out at me. So we'll go to the next paragraph. We are educated and we make advancements by the insights gained during our quest for understanding. In the realm of faith, our souls progress and our nature becomes more divine. In the material realm, we become more tuned in to how our interconnectedness with others can bring prosperity and how we benefit personally from that prosperity. So what jumped out to me in that paragraph is that we're on a quest for understanding. And so in the realm of faith, our souls progress and we become more divine. In the material realm, our interconnectedness with others bring us prosperity, and we learn how we can benefit personally from that prosperity. So I'm going to see about any reflections on that, if there are any. And I don't see any, so we can go to the next paragraph. It is not something that we may even have to consciously make decisions about. It becomes, in a sense, just a realization. This parallels the statement attributed to the British mathematician and metaphysician Alfred North Whitehead, as quoted by Hayek. Civilization advances by extending the number of important operations which we can perform without even thinking about them. So what jumped out at me in that paragraph was that one way to see how this civilization is advancing is seeing the extension of the number of important operations, which are kind of automatic. The divine economy is not separable from human civilization, nor is it separable from the advancement of human culture at the individual or societal level. The divine economy operates in accordance with the will of God, and it is a vehicle for the expression of the will of man. The implication of the divine economy is that there are laws and that there is order. So we'll see if there's any comments on that. And there are none, so we'll move to the highlights. The human culture at both the individual and the social level are a part of the divine economy. And that the divine economy is a vehicle for the expression of the will of man. And one of the implications of the divine economy is that there are laws and that there is order. The power within and without the divine economy is beyond our grasp. Yet throughout history, men have sought to grasp it. Examples throughout history abound. For the short while and ephemeral period that the power-hungry clutched the economy Their illusion of control corrupted them, and the economy became distorted and diverted, leading to the suffering of many both near and distant. Ultimately, the destiny of mankind was slowed by their intervention. Quoting Rothbard, the hidden order, harmony and efficiency of voluntary free market, the hidden disorder, conflict and gross inefficiency of coercion and intervention, these are the great truths that economic science, through deductive analysis of self-evident axioms, reveals to us. So I'm hoping that if anyone's here, that they have some things to think about and reflect upon. And I don't see that anyone is here. So we'll move to the highlights on that. So basically, the divine economy and the power within it are beyond our grasp, and that when it's messed with, the destiny of mankind is slowed. And Murray Rothbard talks about that there's a hidden order, and that's the voluntary free market. And there's a hidden disorder, which is coercion and intervention. And that economic science, through deductive analysis of self-evident axioms, reveals to us both of those. We'll see if there's any reflection on that. I'm not seeing any. So we will go to the next paragraph. There is only one being omniscient enough to see all that happens in the market matrix, and only one being that is not wholly dumbfounded by what human minds see as uncertainty. The economy is divine, it is God's. So if we look at the highlighted part on that, there's only one being omniscient enough, and that the economy is divine and it is God's. So I'm not sure if there's any comments on that or not. I don't see any. So we'll go to the next paragraph. And that takes us to here. The economy provides channels through which the grace and bounty of God flow. According to the divine economy theory, the economy, itself a divine institution, is reciprocally a part of the human operating system. The sooner we learn this and trust this, the sooner we can learn how to use this institution to bring about peace and justice. What caught my attention is that the economy provides these channels. And the economy, which is itself a divine institution, is reciprocally a part of the human operating system. And what we want to do, and what economics helps you understand, is how to use this institution, the economy, to bring about peace and justice. So there's plenty to reflect upon on that topic, and I don't see any reflections, so we will move to the next paragraph. And I think this is then the last paragraph in this chapter 1. So let me go there. The divine economy is here for our benefit. It forces us, acting man, non-coercively, and by the tendencies of the forces of equilibrium, to refine ourselves internally, heart and soul, spirit and intellect, and externally, human and non-human resources. And so it is that the equilibrium forces referred to in this book as the divine economy direct our refinement. So this is the last paragraph in this chapter. And it talks about that the economy forces us but non-coercively. And it's through these tendencies of the forces of equilibrium. And it's what it's doing is it's helping us to refine ourselves internally and externally. And that these equilibrium forces referred to in this book as the divine economy is what's directing our refinement. So we'll see if there's any reflection on that. I don't see any reflection. So everything's fine. I'm not concerned whether someone comes or not. I like that, but it's not critical for this, because what I'm doing is I'm creating the audiobooks of the books in the divine economy theory. And, if people are here, just make it longer. I don't have to flip back to the Facebook live page every time like I did. And, for efficiency's sake, I probably will minimize that in the future. If nobody's here, I'll just keep reading through the book and make it a little bit smoother. But I also want to be able to greet people when they come and answer questions, or grab the questions and use them for a mini webinar later on down the road. So anyway, what we did today is we looked at, in More Than Laissez-Faire, which is a macroeconomics alternative textbook, we looked at chapter 1, a part of it, and the chapter is called Divine Economy Theory. We looked at the market process and more than meets the eye. So our goal is to apply economics in our lives right now. Okay, that's what this is all about. So how that happens is you think based on the what we've learned, what you reflected on, what you've thought about, then you think about some action that you can take. And that is what's transformative. And so this whole process, understanding the economy, how it works, and incorporating it into your life, it's all about transformation. So that's what we're doing here, and hopefully you enjoyed this audiobook, and I'm glad to bring it to you, and I'm hoping that wherever you are, you're well and happy. And so until next time, take care.